Folks, it is 6 o'clock. Miss Sharon, may we please call this meeting to order?
Bublitz. Here. Cook absent. LaPlante.
Here.
Rowley.
Present.
Taylor.
Here.
Yeah.
Bordinsky. Here. Jaworski is absent.
Very good. Thank you. We can all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, and please be seated. At this time, it is my privilege and honor to give the floor to Chief Glover.
Thank you. This isn't my spotlight, this is Andrew Tennant's spotlight. Andrew, 3 months ago, was asked for the promotions to Assistant Chief Fire Marshal, and we now have it fit into a social calendar where we can do the badge pinning and the oath of office. So, with that, Madam Clerk.
All right, it's a long one. Raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Andrew Tennant,
I, Andrew Tennant,
as Assistant Chief Fire Marshal for the Bangor Township Fire Department,
as the Assistant Chief Fire Marshal for the Bangor Township Fire Department,
do hereby declare
do hereby declare
that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
the Constitution of this state,
the Constitution of this state,
and Bangor Charter Township.
and Bangor Charter Township.
As an officer of the Bangor Township Fire Department,
As an officer of the Bangor Township Fire Department,
my duty is to serve the people I swear to protect.
my duty is to
Serve the people.
serve the people
I swear to protect.
I swear to protect,
To safeguard and preserve life,
to safeguard and preserve life,
health, and property
health, and property
against fire and other perils,
against fire and other perils,
and to maintain proficiency in the fire service.
and to maintain proficiency in the fire service.
As an officer,
As an officer,
I will never allow my personal feelings,
I will never allow my personal feelings
nor danger to self,
nor danger to self
deter me from my responsibilities as a firefighter.
deter me from my responsibilities as a firefighter.
I will lead my company to the best of my ability,
I will lead my company to the best of my ability,
with fairness and no prejudice.
with fairness and no prejudice.
I will at all times respect the property and rights of all. I will at all
I
times
will at all times
respect the property and rights of all.
respect the property and rights of all.
I accept the badge of my office
I accept the badge of my office
as a symbol of the public faith and trust,
as a symbol of the public faith and trust,
and I will remain true
and I will remain true
to the ethics of the fire service.
to the ethics of the fire service.
I will constantly strive
I will constantly strive
to achieve the objectives
to achieve the objectives
and ideals that the fire service instills.
and the ideals that the fire service instills.
As a member of the Bangor Township Fire Department,
As a member of the Bangor Township Fire Department,
I accept this self-imposed
I accept this self-imposed
and self-enforced obligation
and self-enforced obligation
as my responsibility,
as my responsibility,
and make these promises
and make these promises
so solemnly, freely, and upon my honor.
so solemnly, freely, and upon my honor.
Awesome. Congratulations.
Congratulations.
I know, it's a long one.
Here they go.
Remember, you quote me, I believe.
Sure it doesn't go, it doesn't go all the way through. Just giving plenty of time for pictures. You don't want to-
Yeah.
They're just,
It's the tough fabric of that shirt.
Fire dart.
Thank you, sir.
Very good. Thank you so much and congratulations. All right, at this point, I'll be looking for an agenda review.
I have nothing, actually. Huh?
All right, then we will add absolutely nothing to the agenda. At this point, I will open up the floor for public input on agenda items. We have 2 public inputs. The first one is for agenda items. Later on in the show will be whatever folks you would like to speak about. So public input going once, public input going twice. 3 times we will close public input, and I will ask for an agenda approval, please.
Make a motion to approve the agenda.
Support. We have a motion, we have support. Is there any discussion? All in favor with an aye, please. Aye. Opposed with a nay. The agenda is approved. I will also look for a consent agenda approval.
Make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Support. We have a motion, we have support. Is there any discussion? All in favor with an aye, please. Aye. Opposed with a nay. That is approved. I do not have an engineering report for this evening, so we will move on to pending business. Chief Gluner, the floor once again is yours, sir.
All right. Well, last month, the fire department responded to 253 calls for service, bringing our year-to-date total to 1,673, which is still a little bit below average from the same reporting period last year, but we're getting closer, unfortunately. In August, there was also 95 overlapping incidents, which accounted for 37.5% of our call volume. Moving down, the process of replacing Station 6 is progressing. We had a meeting yesterday with the Infrastructure Committee, but I'll let Madam Wardynski talk about that in her report. The float position has been filled. I'm pleased to report that firefighter Lane Peters has accepted the float position, and we will do his badge swearing in next month. Sharon wanted us to speed up the meeting, so we delayed it until next month. Under the apparatus equipment, our Rescue 6 will have a push-in ceremony for that tomorrow. We'll also commemorate September 11th at the same time. That ceremony will be at 11 a.m. at Station 7. And that's pretty much my report. Promise Sharon I'd keep it short. So,
Are there any questions for the chief? Chief Gluner, thank you very much, sir.
How many fires?
how many fires last month?
Yeah, how many fires?
I believe we had 3 or 4 that we responded to.
And how many calls were there?
253.
All right, moving on to our committee and commission reports, let us move on to the Zoning Board of Appeals. Trustee LaPlante.
All right, we had on our August 20th meeting, we had 3 requests for variance, a couple more signs. One is Washington Bay Opportunities at 802 North Euclid, which is going to be where they're going to be putting in the Aunt Millie's and the Cinnabon. Their requests were basically for sign square footage and a second wall sign to meet their brand, their franchise branding requirements. So that was approved. We had another one that was from Thomas Jacobs on 33-6 Clarny Beach, and this was for a structure on a piece of property that he has adjacent that's not has a dwelling on it, and we approved that. This actually was been approved before, but because he couldn't get a contractor in place in time, they had to come to us again. So that was approved again. And the last one was for the Abbey Group at property at 1,000 North Euclid, and that's where the Popeyes will be going, and they needed some sign, a variance for some sign square footages. I mean, it's like, and we approved that. So, and that's all we had for us.
Good. Any questions? Trustee LaPlante, thank you. Moving on to the Planning Commission, Trustee Taylor.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. We had a meeting on August 28th. One thing on the agenda was a special exemption use permit for a residential home in a commercial zoning. We granted that. The home was always there. It's right smack in the middle of commercial area on Wilder Road. He's been living there forever. Just had not gotten that permit. That permit helps with insurance and makes it so he can get the correct insurance in that area. So that was a no-brainer, we allowed that, and we worked on some zoning ordinance reviews while we had some time together. That is what I have. Thank you.
Any questions? Trustee Taylor, thank you so much. DPW Committee, Madam Treasurer.
Nothing to report?
Parks and Recreation, I know Trustee Cook is not here, but I know that the morning Rotary Group will be having their triathlon this Sunday at Castaways. So that's a pretty neat event if you have nothing going on. It's a triathlon, you just don't get wet. So it's got kayaks and canoes instead of swimming, then you have the running event, the cycling event. Pretty darn neat. So if you want a little something to do, entertainment, please. Fire Infrastructure Committee, Madam Treasurer.
Okay, the committee has met 2 times since the last time we had a board meeting. We had the RFPs come in. We had sent it out to 6 different companies. Some of them were, a long time ago I had reached out to some of our local companies like Wade Trim, Spicer, and Cleveland Vandenbrink, and none of the local offices deal with fire departments, so they all sent me kind of their third-party architects that they worked through, and then the chief had also met a couple of people through conferences and stuff. So we had sent it out to 6 different companies. We got those in, so the committee met in August to review them and kind of pare them down to who we wanted to do interviews with. There were 2 that kind of really stuck out to us because they went above and beyond what we had asked for on the RFP. They kind of did an overview of the whole project and what they, rough estimates based on, again, just a little bit that we've given them so far. And then we also kept in one that had forgotten to give us their pricing. So after the August meeting, I reached back out to them, got their pricing. They ended up being the most expensive of all the bids. So when the chief and I sat down to discuss that, we decided to just go through the 2 that kind of really blew the other ones out of the water. So we did the interviews last week and yesterday, and both we felt were really good choices. I didn't think we could go wrong with either one. We ended up, then we had a meeting with the committee, kind of talked everything over, and the committee kind of settled on immersion design. We like I said, I had reached out to Spicer and Wade Trim and Cleveland Vandenbrink locally, but they didn't really do so. Some of the companies are in Lansing. The immersion is one that's based out of Ohio. The 2 that we had interviews with, they did say when it comes to the construction phase, if we want, we can designate one of our local architects to be kind of a point person here. Also depends on their familiarity with fire departments and the local person, how familiar they are with it too. So, but they're willing to work with it if we want to have somebody local when it comes to the construction, and there's weekly progress meetings, but that's very far down the road. Right now, this would just be the design to see what we need for the fire department, what we'd like for a new fire department, a new fire station, and get a cost so that we can start working on what kind of bonding we would need, and then be able to take it to the voters for approval. But this is what we need first. So all that being spoke, sorry.
And they were really big on grants, helping us with
Yes.
grants, finding grants.
Yes.
Hijack your thing, but that
No,
was kind of something that put us
thank you for pointing
right
out. That
over the
kind of
top.
put immersion over the top. In the interview, they were very proactive on, we were already aware of several grants that we believe you would qualify for, and we'd be able to help you write them and apply for them. So they would help us search them out. Where the other one we interviewed, they'd help us, so they'd supply us with the information we needed, but not really as proactive on finding the grants for us. So that's kind of where we went with immersion. So I emailed out the immersion proposal, and I also provided hard copies. There's a couple different options in there. The base fee for the design is at $59,650. In order to do the design, there's some surveys that need to be done. They have the land survey, the geotechnical survey, and the hazmat survey report. Those are listed as optional because we can have immersion do it, or we could try and bid it out ourselves after talking with the committee yesterday, we kind of wanted to see it. And there were other RFPs that had those services too, and they kind of came in right around the same amounts for those. So I did talk to someone from Spicer today, and when I was talking to him, he said, without being super familiar with the project, it's hard to say for sure, but he said none of those numbers seemed like they were out of line. He said those seemed like pretty reasonable numbers. So for ease, I think it would be better to go and have it all done by the same people. They know what they're looking for. They'll be able to get it done, and then we'll be able to plan the kickoff meeting. But anyways, so that was kind of the recommendation of the committee yesterday, is so long as we made sure that those optional services were kind of in line, where if we went with local people, then we would just have everything done by immersion. So that's the recommendation, would be the $59,650 for the design costs, and then the $4,900, $11,500, and $6,900 for the different surveys needed. And that we've got that put away in committed funds already for the building improvements and stuff. So that would be the recommendation, is to award the design and those optional services to immersion. And I'm sorry, I meant to tally it up, and I didn't tally it up. Using the committed funds we've already saved for this project. So that would be so total with the surveys and everything would be $82,950 from the committed funds already set aside.
I make a motion to accept the Fire Infrastructure Committee's recommendation for the architectural proposal with immersion design in the amount of $82,950 from committed funds.
Yeah. I'll support.
We have a motion, we have support. Is there any discussion?
The other thing I forgot to mention is the immersion was kind of in the middle. They weren't the most expensive, they weren't the cheapest, but like I said, they were the ones that were kind of most proactive, going above and beyond what we'd asked for, and looking for grant writing and other ways to kind of try and keep the cost down as much as possible.
I'll say their pedigree looks pretty good as far as other people that they've worked with. The only other comment I would have is I know that we spent a lot of time and money with Kramer and Associates a few years ago. Do we ever keep in touch with them as far as moving forward on anything like this?
Tim was the guy that worked with Dr. Kramer. Did the feasibility study.
That's a good answer. Very good.
So he would talk to us if we needed anything.
Very good. Is there any other discussion? Ms. Sharon, may we roll call vote this, please?
Taylor?
Aye.
LaPlante?
Yes.
Cook, absent. Wardinski?
Yes.
Bublitz?
Yes.
Yavorski, absent. Rowley?
Aye.
And that's all I have for the infrastructure committee.
Very good. Madam Treasurer, thank you. We'll now move on to board reports, and we'll start out with the supervisor's report. To begin with, as you drive by the township offices tomorrow, you'll notice all of our flags are going to be at half-staff in honor of Patriots Day. So as that saying goes, never forget. So with that in mind, I'm always going to remember September the 12th. That was the day after the horrific event, the day we all came together as Americans, Democrats, Republicans, conservatives, liberals, and everyone in between. We were all united and not engaged in partisan political poop slinging, okay? We were all together as Americans in such an ugly political season. You know, we have a debate in just a few hours. I hope that we can never forget September the 12th as well. For those in the audience and the World Wide Web that may be running for office, may you never forget that when serving we the people. We recently discussed the property on Zimmer Road that we've been fighting in court for numerous years. So I am so very proud to announce that all the junk, all the blight, and all the demolition cars have all been removed. It is nice and it is clean. So after the meeting, go take a drive by there and give yourself a smile. We have other uglies in the township that we're currently working on, but I wanted to have you know that that Zimmer Road property is a reminder that while it may take a while, our code enforcement department with municipal citations work and our property maintenance ordinances will be adhered to. So bravo for everybody that played a part in that one and the patience that this board had in the numerous years of finally getting there. Our Bay Area Water Treatment Plant just celebrated its 9th anniversary. We're also in the middle of our lead and copper testing in the county. The EPA action level for lead is 15 parts per billion. In January 25, it's going to be lowered to 12 parts per billion. Our township is currently being tested, but last year we came in at 2.5 parts per billion. So we're expecting very similar results, but as soon as we get those, I'm going to share those with you. But with that, I'd also like to address the fact that we currently have 5 lead service lines in the township. Now with 5,271 lines in total, that's a pretty impressive percentage. However, it's something I'd like us to address here. So I'm going to work with the Department of Water and Sewer, see if there's time and budget in there to address those. If not, I'd like that taken care of next year. Just get that done. Lastly, I forgot to bring my prop with me, but I wanted to thank our local insurance agent, Jeff Hunt, for providing little teddy bears to our fire department. Captain, thank you for bringing that with me today. This is something for them to give to the children when on scene, to provide a little bit of comfort during a very uncomfortable event. So bravo to that. And I can't think of a better note to leave on. So that concludes my report, unless you have any questions for me. Very good, thank you. We will move on to the clerk's report. Madam Clerk.
Election. Yesterday, Sharon and I processed almost 2,800 AV applications, so we're getting ready for the ballots to be here. That's a lot of ballots, and it's only September so far, so I anticipate it's going to be crazy busy. So the new software that the state designed, I'm not going to say I love it, but it's got a lot of little bugs we're working out. Overall, it'll be good, but just that's why we started so early, thank goodness. Oh, the recount went. I was able to participate in the recount last week, so 2 days of running over 17,000 ballots through the high-speed counter. Williams Township count ended up exactly the same, and the prosecuting attorney, it was a difference of 2 votes, and it ended up being a difference of 1 vote. So that was an interesting 2 days. Long, but it's part of the process. So yeah, other than that, that's really all I have. Budget, we're just working on budget, working on elections, and it's going to be good.
Are there any questions? Madam Clerk, thank you. Moving on, Treasurer's report. Madam Treasurer.
It has been very busy with taxes. As of about 4:30 this afternoon, we are 77% collected, and with a couple of the larger escrow companies we know that should be coming in the next day or two, that'll put us about mid-80s, which is pretty good for due date. So if anybody has to pay their property taxes yet, come see me by Monday. That's all I've got.
Okay. Any questions? Madam Treasurer, thank you. Moving on to the trustees' report. This evening's order was brought to you by Hannah, the new kid in the assessing department. So we will start out with Trustee Taylor.
Well, thank Hannah for picking me first. That was pretty nice of her. Things are going very well. Just speaking to constituents, everybody seems like they're happy with what's going on, and I have not heard any complaints. So we're doing pretty good. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Trustee Jaworski is not here. Trustee Cook is not here. So Trustee LaPlante.
I don't have any to report.
Very good. We will move on to our new business. No budget adjustments?
No.
Now move on for the approval of a recreational Class C grow permit at 3436 Patterson Road for Bay Shore Development Group LL. I'm assuming there's a C after that.
I make a motion to approve a recreational Class C grow permit at 3436 Patterson Road for Bay Shore Development Group LLC for the facility as described in the application, with approval becoming effective on any applicable real estate closing and or licensure from the state.
Support.
Thank you for that very well worded motion and the support. Is there any discussion?
They had previously been approved. They've been approved for a while. I don't even know for sure sure how long, but they missed their renewal back in June. So it's a new license because they missed the renewal.
Gotcha. Very good. Any other discussion? All in favor with an aye, please. Aye. Opposed with a nay. Hearing none, that is approved. We will now move on to item C, legal services. And Madam Treasurer, you kind of drove this bus, so if you don't mind, I will turn it over to you.
It's been a busy couple of weeks for me. I'll say that with the fire department and taxes and legal. We sent out the RFP to 4 different companies. Like 3 of them were local. Garcia Hewitt, Smith and Boble, and I'm blanking on the 3rd one, but she declined. She didn't have time to take us on as a client. And then Fahey Schultz, who handle a lot of our tribunal cases. They're not local, but since they help us with our tribunal cases, wanted to extend that to them. The only ones that responded back were Smith and Boble and Fahey Schultz. There should have been copies in your packets for both of them. Fahey Schultz does good work. They charge for their very good work. I've heard really good things about Smith and Boble too, and they are more in line with what we are currently paying. It was $175 an hour, but if they have any paralegals that help them, it would only be $110 an hour. Where right now we're $150 an hour. So they're more in line with our current pricing than Fahey Schultz was. And then they have the added bonus of they're more local than Fahey Schultz, because they're out of Openness, whereas I think Smith and Boble and Frankenmuth, Saginaw. So not Bay City, but they're very close. So, and they represent a lot of municipal clients, which is something I think is kind of missing with our current attorney. Sometimes we struggle with municipal law, whereas Smith and Boble seems to be very well versed in municipal law. So my personal recommendation would be to change to Smith and Boble.
Something that and I'm sorry, we should have a motion before we begin any discussion.
I'll make a motion to change attorney services to Smith and Boble according to the proposal.
Yeah. There's too much in it, yeah.
Second.
Okay.
We have a motion, we have support. A couple of comments that I will make is I'll use with what we've been using right now. We do have some other ones, like all of the cases a lot of the cases that we go to the tax tribunal for, we actually employ the services of Fahey Schultz. Although they're not our regular attorney, we do work with them. They put together a lot of our ordinances with the marijuana folks. We start out there. So even if we enter into an agreement with Smith Bogle, does not mean we don't work with any other ones. So just wanted to touch on that one, and with the fact that lower hourly rate, especially the fact that we're going to the municipal tickets, our code enforcement officer is calling the attorney on a pretty regular basis to, hey, we need to take these folks to court. This is what's going on here. We don't need $300 an hour to answer those telephone calls.
It also states in here that they don't charge for all phone calls.
Right.
Currently, we do. Even if we call and question something, we get charged for it.
Yeah, they said quick emails and quick calls or
Yeah.
nothing.
And I'm like, yeah, that's frustrating if you're questioning something on the invoice and you call them and they charge you for it.
Yep. Or when our DDA minutes come back,
Yes.
a nightmare, and I have to correct them, and I get charged for sending them back for review.
Yeah, I have problems with that, so.
Is there any other discussion on this matter?
I like local, and that's kind of it. And I'm looking at Frankenmuth, Standish, Bertram, like you said, I like those comparable ones, size-wise and stuff to us. And, although this is impressive, you're right, you're paying for impressive. And I think these guys are more than qualified.
Yeah, like I said, I've heard good things. I've heard good things about Fahey Schultz, and obviously we use them, like I said, for the tribunal cases. But I've heard good things about Smith and Boble as well.
Is there any other discussion? We're good. Ms. Sharon, may we roll call vote this, please?
LaPlante,
Yes.
Cook, absent. Mordinski.
Yes.
Bublitz. Yes. Yaborski, absent. Taylor.
Aye.
Rowley.
Aye. Very good. There's no other new business on the agenda, so we will now open up the floor for public input on anything that you would like. All we ask that you come to the podium, sign your name, and limit it to 3 minutes, please. Mr. Gray, please.
Hi, everybody. I think some of you know me already. Steve Gray. I am new here in Bangor Township. I was on the board for 16 years out in Beaver, 8 as a supervisor and 8 as a trustee. I also have spent my entire year this year as the Bay County Captain of Citizens for Local Choice. Well, I'm here to regretfully inform all of you tonight that the worst is taking place. DTE is on the ground in Beaver, Williams, Caucahoun, Monitor, Garfield. We have Consumers Energy going to shove a project down our throat in the 3 townships across the river. Hampton, Portsmouth, Merritt. Up in our beautiful Gibson Township, they get really blessed. They're going to get windmills and solar farms. Same for Garfield. You know, I was a Dem my whole life until 4 or 5 years ago, but I can't state strong enough that this was all caused by one individual. Our state senator, Kristen McDonald Rivet, sold all of us out on Public Act 233 of 2023. When I met with Kristen last October and asked her to sit with me and hear the facts on wind and solar, because I was that guy. I was the supervisor in Beaver when they came in 2017. I've already fought this battle. Communities don't need this battle again. Almost all the townships in this county already put wind and solar ordinances in place. Beaver Township, we spent 40 grand. I'm going to ask everybody here, Republican or Democrat, I don't care who you vote for president, I could care less. Your vote for the 8th District for Congress, please do not reward the woman that took away our local zoning rights. Great meeting, great township. I'm loving it here. I'm off to Williams. Keep up the good work. I'll sign the sheet and I'll be out of here. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gray. Is there anybody else? Mr. Bristow?
Thank you, everybody.
Thanks, Steve.
Absolutely. Going to need everybody's help here. We're going to have to fight.
All right.
Mike Bristow, as I mentioned a few meetings before, I had 3 large bank boxes of information. Still going through it. I'm about a third of the way through one box. What I'm finding is we have a problem here, and it can be proven. Also, your tort liability, in other words, can you be sued? I would suggest that you start looking at what has been done, because eventually this is all going to come up. And as far as the solar, you can't put any solar in a wetland. It's against the law. That was tried on the Morley property. They considered it wetland. Can't even have one in windmill for wetland. And there's a California company that has arrived in Elkona. And up there, they are going through, looking at everything. They call it efficiency. And the efficiency is, why is there such a drop? I guess we'll see what takes place up there. Ideal for solar and wind there too. Thank you.
Mr. Bristow, thank you. Anybody else? Commissioner Banaszak.
Thank you, everyone. I'd like to give you an update of what's happening in the county a little bit. First of all, we're going to have our groundbreaking for our animal shelter on September 26th at 3 o'clock p.m. at the Bay County Fair. Also, we just gave out $400,000 for opioid settlement funds. We have 1.6 in there. We have 1.2 left. We plan on getting $6 million over 15 years on the settlements. We just got a chunk from Kroger's. The ones who got it is Sacred Heart got $163,000. The FAN organization, which stands for Families Against Narcotics, they got 100. Pure 360, they got 70. And Recovery Pathways got 60. So what we do is we have this going for 1 year to 1 year, and in 6 months we're going to reevaluate the program to see how it's working out. And then next year we'll have another more bids going out next year. Also, if everybody's been out to Linwood Scenic Site, we just got done installing 400 feet of seawall with the guardrails. It's a project that's been going on for like 20 years, and now it's coming to a point now. We got the funds there now. The county, the townships, Fraser, and all the fundraising. We just got a $15,000 grant from Frank Moose Credit Union to buy ADA picnic tables for the new ones. What's going to happen in 2 weeks, we're going to start phase 2. It's going to be green space and sidewalks and all that. So it's coming along very well. Also, at 7 o'clock tomorrow at the county building, we're having a 911 memorial prayer service, so everyone is welcome. And also, I think everybody knows that we lost our finance officer, Shauna Walraven. She's been a godsend. Ever since I've been a commissioner, she's been right there. I mean, she's very knowledgeable, and we hate to lose her, but she's going to the Bay Area Community Foundation, which gives out grants. So we'll be able to still utilize her going through the grant process. Basically, that's pretty much all I have right now. Oh yeah, also we lost one of our assistants at our county commissioners. So we have two staff members. One took one took a job within the county, so we have one left, Lindsay. We are hiring a board analyst and advisor for us, like Bob Redmond used to do many years ago for the county. Well, we're in need of one because we have a lot of stuff going on now. With all this new construction going on, the opioid settlement stuff, is more and more paperwork, more research, more grants we have to do. We don't have the availability, us commissioners don't have the time. So we're going to hire one. It should be posted. Shauna's position is also posted. So I think we're going to do it for 2 weeks. I'm going to go from there. This person's going to be able to do federal, state, everything that we need, research everything, because we need somebody. So, anybody have any questions? So we have good stuff coming in the county, so we're doing well.
Very good. Mr. Commissioner, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
I just have a question. Can I just ask a question real quick? I'm kind of new here.
The public input question or session is your opportunity to speak to the board. We really don't do questions back and forth. We'd be more than happy to answer your question after the meeting or during business hours. So I wish we could honor that. Unfortunately, it's now what public input's for. Anybody else? Public input going once. Public input going twice. 3 times. We will close public input. A few announcements. As Chief stated, we're going to have a fire truck push-in ceremony. That will be at 11 o'clock at Station 7, right across the parking lot. Our Zoning Board of Appeals is going to be meeting on September the 17th at 6 p.m. And the Planning Commission will be meeting on September the 18th at 6 p.m. Are there any other announcements?
Motion to adjourn.
Support.
All those in favor with an aye, please. Aye. Opposed with a nay. We are adjourned at 6:39. Thank you all so much. Have a great evening.